Hello everyone. Okay, a bit of a bigger project that I've been working on all day. This is a mini milk carton style gift box, and initially I had a window that stopped there, and as you can see you wouldn't know what was inside the box. So I had another go and decided that if I wrapped the window over the top of the box you could actually see the candle. So that's the way I've gone with this. Okay, these are the candles. I bought them last year and I bought them from B&M, and there was three for £2.99, so £1 each, so they're really good value. I assume that they'll have them again this year. Okay, so to make this I started with a full sheet of 30.5, which is 12 by 12 to a lot of people, but 30.5 paper, though actually it isn't. It's one of these pads I bought from Home Bargains, and they're beautiful. I think they were £3, not sure, I can't remember off the top of my head, but no more than that. There might only been two, but I think there were three. And they're actually only 30 centimetres. That extra 5.5 centimetre in your normal scrapbook and paper would be helpful for this, but it just leaves us with a very sort of narrow gluing panel, but it's fine, it still works. So if you got 12 by 12 you're great, because your gluing panel is slightly wider, but if you're using this pad from Home Bargains, it's a little bit narrow, but it's workable. Okay, so from one sheet you need to cut a piece that is the full width, so that's 30.5 if you're using the full width, by 16 centimetres. You also need to cut a piece that is 24 centimetres by 6.5, and that is the wrap for your candle. Okay, now I'll put that up there. I'm not sure if it's in range. You will also need a little piece of acetate, and that measures 6 by 8.5 centimetres. So I'll pop that up there. And you also need a little scrap of cord cut to 5 by 7.5 centimetres. And that's how we are going to cut out that window. Okay, so no dies, all old school here today. Okay, right, so with the main piece of your paper, double-sided paper, that side's really pretty, you need to score the following. Okay, so with a long side you're going to score at 7.3, 14.6, 21.9 and 29.2. It'll work, we're fine. It's a very narrow gluing tab, but it's probably what everybody else normally does. I just prefer mine a bit wider. And then flip it, turn by a quarter, and you're going to score at 4. Do it that way because it doesn't make sense to me otherwise. You're going to score at 4, 11 and 15. Now a lot of people will do that final score line from the other side, but because we're using paper as opposed to card, it doesn't matter. So just do it on that side. You'll be able to see it better anyway. Then you need to measure along the top score line. So this 1 centimetre from the top. And you're going to make a little mark at 3.65. I know it's a funny measurement. You just go with it. And 18.25, and you're just going to make a little mark on that score line there. Yeah, because what we need to do is, with a scoring tool and a little ruler, we are going to join up the line below to that pencil mark you've just done, the corner section, to that pencil mark. Yeah, then you're going to do the same going to the opposite corner of the box below. Okay, so that's that one. And then you're going to do the same in the end box. Now try and get these in the right places, because if you don't, it'll knock your box out. You'll end up with your window in the wrong place. So do all of this working on the back of your paper. Okay, then it'll all be in the right place because your window is going to be in this one. Okay, but if you did it from the other side with the gluing panel at that side, your window is going to be in the wrong place. So do all your working on the back. I'll just score that in again because I don't think it went in very well. There we go. Right, so now we're just going to fold and burnish. I'm trying to keep that somewhere for you where you can see it in case you missed the measurement. We're going to fold and burnish on all of our score lines. Do these sort of upright ones first. Leave these little funny diagonals until we've folded all the rest. Right, you'll be able to see how narrow this gluing panel is now I've folded it. But it works, we're fine because it works. But if your paper is only 30, that's the gluing panel you'll have as opposed to an extra 5 millimeters. Okay, so now we need to fold these diagonals we've just done as well. I missed that line, yes I have. Okay, so carefully find them and fold them over. They're going to fold into the box. I'll show you in a second when I get these. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing really. I'll try it there. So I'm just creating a space to enable me to form that crease. Trying to turn it so you can see it. Right. I haven't told you they go inside the box, I fold them the wrong way, but it doesn't matter. As long as the creases are in, they'll fall in by themselves now. Okay, so next thing, we're going to do this window. Okay, again, we're working from the inside of the box to the wrong side of your paper. Okay, so what we're aiming for is, we don't particularly, we want it central in that panel down the side. So, you know, your 2 score lines are there, so kind of centralize it in between those 2 score lines. And then whatever gap you leave at the bottom, you're going to have above the score line, above this score line. But bearing in mind, if you go too high, you'll be able to see the inner workings of these creases. So don't go too high, maybe about 1 centimetre. That's from the bottom crease, maybe 1.5 centimetres. No higher than that, or you will be able to see those lines. Now all you need to do with this little template you made is put some glue on the back of it and centre it between those lines. So I've gone approximately 1 centimetre from this fold line going up over, and it's probably about 2 centimetres over the line at the top end. Okay, now I'm going to try and hold it still and then spread the glue out behind it, because we don't want it to move once we start cutting. Right, okay, and with your craft blade, hopefully my craft blade will last long enough to do this because I've been using it all day, cut around your little template. And if this is the only one you're going to do, then you can use this piece of card as a tag. My blade isn't very good because it's not staying, it's not cutting straight. I'm veering a bit, but it'll do for the time being. I'll be able to fix it. Oh no, definitely need to change my craft blade. I'll do it before the next video. Right, so as I was trying to say, if you wanted to, you could use that side as a tag if you weren't going to keep it to do future projects with. Okay, that's where I went astray. Let's just clear that up. Right, okay, now I use 1.5 3mm double-sided tape when I'm using acetate or any double-sided tape, but the 3mm is perfect to go as tightly up to the cut line as I can. You can hear that creaking, it's the floorboards upstairs again. There we go. Right, so burnish down your tape. Always burnish down your tape because it does two things. It bonds it to whatever you're sticking it to, and it also makes it easier to remove the carrier paper. Okay, now I use an old craft knife with an old blade in, but I use the back of the blade as opposed to the sharp side, just to get underneath the carrier paper and remove it. Okay. Now your acetate preferably needs to cover your tape. I've given you the measurements so it does, but if you're using a wider tape you might need to make your acetate a little bit bigger. There we go. Now you also need to burnish the acetate down to the tape, particularly because we're going to crease it, so that it has that line in the same place as the box. Okay, which we're going to do that now. You don't have to burnish it really hard, just gently, just so it follows the creasing along the line of your box. Okay, right, now we are going to cut off this very bottom gluing tab because we don't need it. So we're going to cut straight up and then add a little angle. You don't need anything significant, and then just nip a tiny little bit off the top corner. Okay, then go along and cut up the middle of the scoring lines all the way along. Normally I'll cut the score lines out, but because this is all going to be in the bottom, I'm not too worried. You can, if you want, you know, cut a little tiny bit out, cut up both sides of it and nip it out. But as I say, because it's on the bottom, I'm not too worried. And you don't need to notch in. You don't need to do the wedges on these. They'll hide themselves in the bottom of the box. Okay, almost there. So whatever your personal favourite is, I'm using Energy's tacky glue. It's just decanted into this bottle because I find it easier to use this bottle than the original. But I've just filled it and it's been a bit generous. Let's take some of that off because I don't want glue anywhere near the acetate. Right, a lot of people would do that and that. I've never been able to do that. I need to pick it up and line up the score lines. There we go. Right. So it is a narrow, if you are using the Home Bargains paper, it is a very narrow gluing tab. So, you know, make sure you got enough glue on, make sure it's burnished down well, make sure it's not going to come apart. But once it's stuck, it's fine. It's not a problem because that one's made of the same paper and I made that a few days ago and there's been no problems. Okay, so that's where we are at the moment. Okay. So what we're going to do now is, we know that's the front because it's got the window, so we're going to fold that one back and we're going to put one of the side panels in. We're going to put a little bit of glue along there. As I say, my glue bottle's been a bit generous because I've just filled it up. Don't worry about sticking it down, just get the glue on it for now. Fully cover this one, the back panel. And then fold that down and fully cover the front panel. just, you don't want to come undone, and the candle's quite heavy, so you need security at the bottom of the box. Okay, then just simply fold them in, make sure that's squared, turn the box up the other way, and get your ruler in there and spread out the glue. If you can see any of the sides, the base, just tap the side of the box and it'll line it all up for you. There we go. So that's where we are now. Right, before I do anything else, we'll wrap the candle. Right, normally I do this two ways. If I feel comfortable enough to wrap it round to curl this along the bone folder, I will. But if it feels too wide, I will then take it to the edge of my workbench. And I'm not sure you can see this in the camera image. And I will just pull it along the edge of my workbench to give it a bit of a curl. It's just easier to curl it. Right. I haven't decided which way. Yeah, I'm going to go with the hearts on the outside. Okay, so all we need now, a little bit of glue down one edge. Okay, the one thing to remember is this paper will need to come off before anybody lights this candle. Okay, so I want you to wrap it fairly tightly, but I want you to make sure that it'll slip off, because if it doesn't, someone may not be thinking and may light this candle and set fire to the paper. So you must make it easy for them to get this paper off. Okay, and to test that, and my glue's not properly stuck yet, just slide it down. Yeah, so I know that's going to slide off there, or they can push it out from there, either way, but make sure it'll come off your candle. I haven't got the glue near enough my edge. I'm just going to put a bit of more glue down here. Better. Right, perfect. Now, candle into box. Now these sides, you literally, because we've already shaped them, just literally push in. Okay, so press them in, line up these edges to make sure, just make sure they're all straight, and then confirm that tiny little crease in the middle. There you go. Yeah, let me get it clip to put on the top. Pink one. Okay, and you've got enough of your sheet of paper left to decorate your box with afterwards if you want to put a tag on. So there you go.